Hi again, riding the wave of the previous video about the price situation and spikes in Magic the Gathering Premodern and how to navigate the format. Today we're going to look at these spikes one by one, so I'll describe them from the point of view of a genuine fan. A very important aspect in this kind of video is understanding who is talking to you and whether they are honest and what kind of conflict of interest they might have or what kind of bias they might carry. So with that said, I'm telling you that I'm not a collector speculator who believes that cards must always go up in price. I'm the kind of person who has seen prices stay very stable for many years, not only in Magic the Gathering but also in Pokemon, and with fluctuations happening only for reasons strictly tied to actual playability. Even today, the playability of a card is fundamental, but spikes are mostly tied to speculation and obviously to other reasons connected, in my opinion, to the perception of money. But you already know all of these if you watched the previous video. Then again, everyone is free to do what they think is best, and that's usually wonderful, except when you want to buy a card, something unexpected happens in real life, or for whatever reason you don't complete the purchase, and the next day the card costs 3 times as much. At that point you curse like a demon. Personally, I think that for these things, namely speculation, we have financial instruments, and cards should remain in the hands of players. Proportionally speaking, I think it's unlikely that thieves would go rob a children's toy store, but you never know. Anyway, this is the world we live in, and apparently it even surpasses movies. Rant over for now. Let's look at these spikes. I divided them into macro groups based on my own logic, and then I'll give you the ranking of the most irritating ones. We have the group of expensive cards, reserved list, which already cost a fortune and now cost even more, led by Mox Diamond, of course. Then the second group, reserved list again. These cards have been targeted by speculation because they are played in a tier 1 deck. However, they didn't start with a high price tag, and the clearest example is Phyrexian Devourer. Then we have the group of cards that rose due to a shortage tied to playability. The main example is Decree of Silence. Parallax Tide got banned, and Decree of Silence went from being a piece of junk you kept unsleeved in some dusty corner to a card you look for sell to finance your purchases. Another group is cards that rose without any shortage. The poster child is Morphling, a card played as a one-off. How can it be missing? It's not even like, well, Masticore is an artifact and can be played in many decks, plus all the survival decks. No, these cards just disappeared. So let's immediately look at the first group. Mox Diamond spiked to $1,200, dropped to $1,000, now $1,700. These numbers seem ridiculous compared to the Power Knight cards. We are at the same level as an International Edition Ancestral Recall, arguably the strongest card in the game. Mox Diamond is played in Legacy and Premodern, sure, so we are still in a somewhat acceptable territory, but the point is, you can easily play Magic without Mox Diamond, and old school Magic the Gathering without Ancestral Recall, well, you can do that at your own risk. The comparison isn't perfect, because in Vintage you cannot play gold bordered cards. However, Vintage is basically dead anyway, so it's apples and oranges, but this brings back the hot topic from the previous video, the antagonism with old school MTG, with Ancestral Recall going down while pre-modern cards go up. Irritating? I think the priority is clear, don't give satisfaction to the enemy, we are ready to endure further increases without buying this card. Lionside Diamond, another aggressive spike, from $500 to over $900. This is more of a legacy card than a pre-modern one. Actually, a pre-modern player can completely ignore it, so it's not even an irritating spike, it just leaves you dumbfounded. But ultimately it's someone else's problem. And actually, if I were a Wolf of Wall Street type of guy, I would jump on just Cradle right now. Everything is going up and Cradle is going down. To me, this is the ultimate overwhelming proof of how speculative and artificial these price movements are. Just Cradle doesn't even need my advertising, and it's by far the most prestigious card in the format. Everything rises and this one falls. Crazy. Intuition has almost doubled, reaching $500. In the previous video, I compared its price to a foreign white border Tundra. Sure, Intuition is strong and widely played, Legacy, Show and Tell, and Premodern, a spike that comforts blue-white replenish players after the ban of Parallax died. If you don't like the deck anymore, you sell those Intuition and you are happy anyway. Still, this is a pretty irritating spike, probably the first one mentioned that really doesn't sit right with me. You can still easily play Premodern without this card, even if in the broader context it's consistent with other spikes. I think it compromises access to many decks, so this spike is harmful to about 10 archetypes. Next, another land after just Cradle, Serra's Sanctum. A friend of mine had it for 25 years or something and finally sold it. Did he do well? I think he did great, but you never know. Considering the complete lack of moderation out there, we might see this card at $1,000 in a year. The spike already happened in 2021, then the price dipped, then rose again, not even too violently. Still, if Parallax Wave Opalescence ever gets banned, this land, incredible and wonderful as it is, goes straight back into oblivion. In the early years of 2010, it was around 10 euros, and it stayed around 40 or 50 euros for a long time. Wasteland used to cost much more. And this is not an irritating spike because it's contained, but I would call it controversial. Replenish from $150 to $350 with crashes and rebounds. We see the gold bordered 4-of going for sale at 50 euros each, extremely low supply, probably the last call for those who want to play blue-white replenish. And this is a pre-modern card only. Replenish and Enchantress, once again, Panda Burst didn't meet expectations. The Crew of Silence did, but we are in a situation similar to Serra's Sanctum. Even though this card seems more playable, if Opalescence or Parallax Wave get banned, this card is gone. The deck is expensive. Enchantments, Ancient Tomb, Intuition. On the other hand, Enchantress uses Serra's Sanctum, so these are decks I had already labeled as not worth it, even before the ban. So we had already missed the train, let alone now, without Parallax died and with much higher prices. Survival of the Fittest from $280 to over $400. Beautiful card, playable in many decks, but you can avoid Full English Breakfast and Elves and you'll be fine. Another train has passed situation, no need to get irritated. Phyrexian Dreadnought, almost $400 right now. This spike would have made sense at the peak of Stifle Knot, before the Parallax died ban. Now it's honestly laughable. More than irritation, this one makes you chuckle. Ancient Tomb from $100 to $180. Played in many formats, this looks like a solid investment. So this isn't even a spike, it's a rise. Personally, it annoys me because I didn't buy it earlier, but that's my fault, so no irritation. I try to be fair, so this time I'll take the blame. And in the end, whatever. The decks that use this card aren't very accessible anyway. Then City of Traitors from $400 to $650. played in Legacy. In Premodern we have it in Tinkerfling, and to a lesser extent in other decks. In the broader context, this spike isn't among the worst, and it's easy to ignore. Rishadan Port is one of the most toxic spikes I've ever seen. Expect it on the final top 10. To me, this is truly disgusting. I mean, there are reprints, so I say protect yourselves. And it seems like there's speculation on Terra Oath, Mox Diamond, Rishadan Port, and we'll also see Oath of Druids. The deck is very good and I've always recommended it on the channel, but it seems strange that suddenly there's such strong interest. Shallow Grave, a marginal card, deck specific in both Legacy and Premodern. This is an annoying spike. I don't like it one bit. Metal Worker still hasn't returned to 2021 levels. A classic and powerful card, but it sees little play. I don't understand who would want to buy it now. Somewhere between group number 1 and 2, the Ranged Hermit is roughly in line with past prices, which is weird considering the rock has become more popular after the Parallax Tide ban. Another demonstration that these prices are artificial. It's not just demand and supply. I mean, demand and supply matter, but there's more than that. And in a group of its own, Gilded Drake, a card that skyrocketed in 2021, recently showed a slight recovery, but overall it continues to fall. This is what happens when speculators think there's no margin left. Powder Keg from $20 to $100, played in few copies but in a decent number of decks. For as irritating as this spike is, at least there's some credible reason behind it. Maybe the price is a little bit excessive, so irritating but understandable, not the worst spike. Then Cursed Scroll, and I say this in advance, this is the most irritating spike of all. My goodness, how annoying. Okay, the card is played, but it's not strong enough to justify all of this. Unfortunately, it's on the reserved list, so there's no way out. And if you want to play a budget aggro deck, and then a card costs this much, there's no point anymore. So it's that bad. This dynamic has a major impact on the metagame share, and speculators hold hostage a large portion of Cursed Scroll copies and alter the metagame composition. Same as with what happened with Phyrexian Devourer. So nothing more irritating than this. And I fear this spike will last longer because it's more credible, given the playability of the card. Phyrexian Devourer is actually dropping. As I said in the previous video, spikes lead to crashes, and this one is frankly pathetic. With Tinkerfling and Full English Breakfast doing well, the card goes down. The irritation hit me 6 months ago, but now it's fading. Still, this started as an extremely irritating spike, and we classify it as such, absolutely artificial, rigged, built at the table, studied in advance, 100% planned. Masticore is a very irritating spike, already showing signs of weakness. This is an iconic and useful card, playable in many decks, maybe not as widely playable as Cursed Scroll, but still. I mean, I own 3 copies of this card, 2 signed copies. If I tell you the price is too high, it means it's just too high. And again, I want to be fair. Let's put the conflict of interest aside. Recurring Nightmare almost doubled from $60 to well over $100. A good card, but mainly played in 2 decks. Also few copies around. Not an annoying spike, but maybe we are exaggerating a bit. Then 2 black sideboard cards, Dystopia and Engineered Plague. Dystopia has been rising for a long time, it dipped and now rose again. Definitely a highly demanded sideboard card. Maybe it's worth noting that it's not used by the strongest decks. It's mostly a mono black card. And if it hadn't dipped, I would say it's destined to keep most of its value because there are few copies and it's very good, so I will say it anyway. This is going to maintain most of its price. The gold bordered version costs the same as the original, so I would say that this is almost the real price. Probably not enough conditions for speculation, which makes me very happy. And to be honest, the price is already high enough. Engineered Plague, maybe the best sideboard card in the format. Here too I think the price is justified. Again, the gold bordered version costs just as much as the original. Maybe speculators didn't strike because it's hard to cover shipping costs for all these one-offs for an uncommon card that isn't even in the reserved list. So 2 painful spikes, but not irritating overall. They don't prevent you from playing mono black. Now we have cards that suffered a shortage, meaning they are hard to find because they are played and there aren't too many copies around. Decree of Silence is the obvious example. Jumped in price due to the ban. I didn't think the deck would survive so well and keep getting results, so Decree of Silence might drop a bit, but will remain at the medium price unless reprinted. In Europe it's around 10 euros or a bit more, maybe another speculative wave will come, who knows. In the States, $40 seems a bit too much. Similarly, but even worse, Plague Bearer. A creature with a good ability but overall not very fast, and it dies if you look at it wrong. This is a 1/1 guy. Maybe it's playable in Survival of the Fittest or Moneyball Black, perhaps as a sideboard card, but it's not that decisive. Before, people used to play Bone Shredder, which does the job just fine, and this card was never reprinted, I get that, and that's why it rose. It shot up to $50, so that's even more than Decree of Silence, but both cards are not on the reserved list. So a card that everyone despised or at least ignored, now sitting at $50, what the hell is going on? Come on now. So, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, or whoever is in charge, do something. Will you guys please reprint this thing? Thank you. Varrath's Shapeshifter and Hermit Druid, I grouped them together because they are both part of Hermit Druid Full English Breakfast, and they are two cards I wanted to buy a few months ago, mostly to have them, just for collection. In the end, I didn't, because I don't feel like buying or playing Survival of the Fittest. And anyway, prices were good, so I think this increase is a healthy one. Same for Reanimate. However, the trend of Varrath's Shapeshifter suggests speculation more than real demand, so Hermit Druid is certainly the more solid card. Undiscovered Paradise, in my view, not worth this amount of money. Yes, it's played in Full English Breakfast, Reanimator. It's needed by multicolored decks, and in Europe is much more accessible than in the States, I guess. In the end, you can play MTG Premodern without this card, but still, this doesn't look like a good spike. Then, the group of Exploration, Parallax Wave and the Palisades, I'm grouping them together. They already rose in price, and they remain roughly at the same level. Yes, they go up a bit, but not real spikes. Again, it looks like speculators think there's not enough margin to speculate on this card. Argothian Enchantress, still within the average, far below the 2021 spike. I mean, wasn't this card and wasn't this deck supposed to be the new Tier 0 deck in the format? And it looks like all of the speculation is focused on Serra's Sanctum. Then we have cards that are not hard to find, supply exists. Fetch lands, I mean, the spike irritates me like few others, and the blame lies entirely with the players. Buy reprints, don't feed these garbage. I mean, gold bordered versions rose only slightly. I remember a full playset of Bloodstained Mire from Germany going for €6 at the piece, and the prices barely moved. So this is a maximum level of irritation, but as I always say, to each their own. Next, Stifle, same thing, original printing rises in price, and it did that repeatedly. Reprints exist, same story as Fetchlands. Next, Pernicious did. This card rose a little bit in price, understandably. This is a good card and still reasonably priced. Maybe with all the reprints it could be cheaper, but I think it's a good time for buying the reprints for this card. Next, Sphere of Resistance. This card continues its ups and downs, nothing extraordinary. Rofellos, another roller coaster, not even played, yet it rises. Come on, Tempting Worm, the graph looks terrible. I don't even need to comment this. Hidden Gibbons, a card that has always fascinated me, also going up and down, but it has never truly exploded. How come? Possibly an underpriced card compared to the overall scenario. Tangle Wire, a fish jumping out of the water and back in. Multani, Maro Sorcerer, a failed spike back in 2021, recently started rising again and now heading back down. Reanimator and Natural Order aren't even dominant strategies, so this is the result. Pandemonium, a spike that went terribly wrong on the original printing. I think the spike happened only in the States, simply because the card has several reprints and the deck failed its purpose anyway. Palinchron, a nice crash after the 2021 hype frenzy. Goblin Sharpshooter shows slow but steady growth, nothing to complain about. Actually, I would expect a much sharper rise at this point. I mean, Goblins is one of the decks that took more benefit from the Parallax Tide ban. So this is a played card and aesthetically beautiful, the reprints not so much, so why isn't it rising? Maybe because there's no margin for speculation. Morphling is, in my view, a decidedly irritating spike. Sure, there's only one reprint, and the card does see some play, which creates different conditions compared to Spiritmonger. Still, I think Morphling rose also because it's an iconic card and all the pre-modern players rushed to buy a copy as some kind of memorabilia before it was too late, but mainly it was made to disappear. I mean, how come does supply vanish this way? That's exactly the kind of thing I have a problem with. A card I could buy for 6 or 7 euros because it was something to keep as a memory, which I'm glad I did. Today I wouldn't buy it. This is not the fair price. Chroma probably represents Morphling's future, or at least, hopefully so. Another irritating spike. So, same story. I own 2 copies, by the way. Xanthid Swarm, another card on the way down. Saproling Burst, the spike happened after the Parallax Tide ban, when it seemed Panda Burst would replace Blue-White Replenish. And these are the results. I think it's fair to say that in Europe the card kept its price. Altar of Dementia, another roller coaster, but here we are in a situation similar to Oath of Druids, although the latter is much more played. These cards are in demand, but the fact that all reprints disappeared too suggests an organized attack. I don't think the whole world suddenly decided to play Oath of Druids altogether, hand in hand, also because the real bottleneck cards for the deck are other ones, Phyrexian Devourer and Mox Diamond respectively. Then there's Exalted Angel. To me, this is the third strongest creature in the format. Obviously heavily played, but there are several reprints. So I say, under these conditions, you cannot justify the card rises because it's played. If the problem is needing to play it, you might as well use something else, like a reprint. So why are you fighting over the Onslaught version? That seems a bit weird to me. Let's just buy the Hollow playset. I don't like half measures. Goblin Pile Driver, similar case. The original printing is expensive, but who cares? There are many reprints. Call of the Herd, the most ridiculous and fake spike of all. Not irritating, just completely senseless. You can buy the playset for €1. An uncommon reprint. We close with Grim Lavamancer, the target card of every Magic the Gathering inside trader across the globe. A total joke. I think we have mentioned all the spikes I wanted to include, though I certainly forgot some because there are so many cards. So we have reached the key moment. The top 10 most detestable spikes announcement. Honorable mention goes to original print fetch lands. 10th place, Goblin Lackey, even the reprints went up. Understandable spike, still irritating. 9th place, Morphling. I mean, some people just want a memorabilia card. Leave those people alone. 8th place, Masticore. I have 3 copies. 2 of them are signed, and I hate this spike, so I don't need to tell you more. 7th place, Powder Keg. So these 2 spikes are understandable in part, but they are still irritating. Next, 6th place, Phyrexian Devourer, probably the first spike of the toxic speculation wave. 5th position, Intuition, price way too high, better to play old school. Barely outside of the podium, Rishadan Port with the biggest gap between original and reprints. Bronze medal, Oath of Druids with the disappearance of reprints. Runner-up, Plague Bearer. I think anyone with minimal Magic the Gathering experience cannot look at this card and believe it costs $50. And the winner, just like I said, Cursed Scroll, an uncontestable first place, a disaster for anyone wanting to play aggro. So overall I see a highly toxic, highly speculative scenario that is hostile toward players. Sure, the relationship between playability or demand and supply exists, but speculation is built precisely on that. Some dynamics and the fact that early spikes are already showing signs of weakness reveal that many prices are artificial. So just like I did after the Parallax Tide ban video, I declare the topic closed until the next update on the subject, which will not happen for months. We move on to MTG deck techs, games whenever possible. Maybe these videos will not get the same views, but in my opinion they are much more important. For now, thanks for watching and see you soon.